Alright, this is the Bb sensing for AEG or HPA platform. It's just a quick guide on how to install it. You have your shrink tape, the sensor with the harness, and then the engine side of the harness. Small piece of shrink wrap, a larger piece of shrink wrap. The way you're going to install this is you're going to take this, strip the wires. You're going to take your factory harness. This is a Wolverine SMP Gen 1 harness, but it's the same with all harnesses. The color is going to vary on the harness. Wolverine, the wire that you want is the brown wire. You're going to cut this wire in the harness anywhere you want, as long as you make sure there's enough room to get this out the front of the gearbox. You're going to cut this and then attach this in between the two and then route this out the front of the gearbox. The reason that I've included this is because the SMP harness comes factory with shrink wrap on it already, and as you can see I've already put a piece on here, because after you've soldered this you're going to tuck it down in there. Obviously this one isn't soldered, and then you're going to take your shrink wrap and slide it over it, heat it up, just like factory. I put this on already because it's hard to get over the connector. You're going to turn it sideways and all kinds of weird stuff. I will be offering at some point in time the system with the harness already pre-soldered, everything ready to go. Just open your gearbox, take your factory wiring harness out, set it off to the side, plug my harness in with this plug already done, no soldering involved. One thing I did do, which a lot of people were concerned about, is, oh well, what if you forget to unplug it when you pull your upper receiver off? Well, the connector I chose is just a pull connector. So if you take your upper receiver off and you forget to unplug this, it simply just unplugs on its own and does not harm anything. That takes care of that. This piece is for the micro switch itself. As you can see, the feeler on it, let the camera focus, is rather small. And a lot of the hop-ups require quite a bit of filing and sanding and to get this feeler to protrude through far enough to where it contacts with the BB. So what I've done is I've included this piece of shrink wrap, which you can put on here at your choice. You heat it up a little bit and it extends the feeler, and then you can use just a pair of scissors to trim it down as you see fit. This tape is pretty cool. It's not sticky at all on either side. You can wrap it either way and it won't stick to itself. It is heat activated, meaning you need a lighter, heat gun, a really powerful blow dryer, something of the sort to activate it. And I've cut a small piece here. Take and wrap it around a screwdriver, which this is why I chose this stuff, because it's too loose. Just twist it and it tightens it up a little bit. Take your lighter, now it's stuck. It's in its shape. It's not going to come loose. If I heat it further, if I can get it back on there, because it shrunk down. There we go, we'll put it on that side. Oh, okay. If I heat it more, you can see that it shrinks to the same shape of the end of the screwdriver. Now what this tape is going to be for is you're going to take your hop up. Now this is a Pro End that is unmodified, and I'll get to that in a second. And you're going to modify your hop up to where this will fit. Take a small piece of super glue, or a small bit of super glue, and just put a dab on there. Stick it to the hop up to hold it in place temporarily. I've included about 6 inches worth of shrink tape. You will not need 6 inches of shrink tape. The reason I included this much is in case you have to do it 2 or 3 times because you didn't get it set right perfectly the first or second time, or accidentally hit it with a lighter, or there's a million ways that something can go wrong to where you need more. So I figured I bought 65 feet. I can include 6 inches. You just wrap it around the hop up with your switch secured in place. Hit it with your heat source. Trim off the excess, extra, and that will secure your micro switch in place. You do want the wires coming out the top of the tape, because if it comes out the bottom, it's going to be in the way of the mag. I've also included the reason this harness is so long on this side, because obviously you don't need that much to go to the gearbox, is so that you can wrap the wires around the front of the hop up. And I haven't found a hop up or a gun body that you can't do that with yet. I even have a KWA 2-piece hop up where it's wrapped around the front. But the reason I do that, and I design it that way, is so that in the case that you pull your upper off without unplugging it, it doesn't put the stress on the micro switch, because these are very small solder joints. And as you can see, I have a small piece of shrink tape, or shrink wrap around that, just to kind of help it too. And the next model, the updated model, I'm hoping to have a PCB board here so that it's a stronger connection and you don't have to worry about that as much. To the hop up modification, on some guns it is quite extensive, or some hop ups it's quite extensive, and other hop ups it's next to nothing. So pick your hop up according to your level of skill. As you can see at Pro End, pop this off real quick. I've had to modify quite extensively to get the amount of space correct for that feeler to be able to protrude enough to hit the BB. Now when doing your hop up, the hole doesn't have to be an exact size, it just has to be small enough to where the switch won't fit through it, and the switch has a flat surface to mount to. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but you can actually see if it'll focus. I don't think it's going to. Yeah, right there. There's a little bit of super glue right here, residual from whenever I did have the prototype switch on here without all the connectors and all the good stuff. But the hole size, it doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. The feeler's quite small, so I mean you could do it just a little bit bigger than the feeler itself. The reason that I make it so big is so that you can move the switch up and down to get it set directly dead center of the BB. I found in my prototype testing that the BB third from the bottom is the best, because some mags don't feed so well and others do, and it's just, I've had them lower, I've had them higher, and I even actually had in this hop up where I mounted it in the top at one point. And it just, I found that in the side is, third BB up is the best place to put it as of now. I'm planning on doing a lot of updating on the system. This is a Gen 1, obviously. I will have a second gen coming out, not immediately, but it does work. I have fed through an SMP. It is fed up to 35 rounds per second, which is above any field limit. Most fields are limited to 30 rounds per second on their rules, on their HPA applications. This is an high pressure air, SMP or Polar Star only modification at this point in time. I will be releasing, it's in testing and development right now, a AEG version for you guys who like Milsim and you only have an AEG, you don't want to spend the money, you don't like the hose, whatever reason you're not using high pressure air. This is the setup for a Polar Star or a SMP Hydra Inferno. It will not work with the Spartan. It will not work with the Vulcan V12. The reason for this is the internal FCU does not allow for the wiring to adapt. Wolverine just announced the other day about a Bluetooth FCU, which has some really cool features, including adding stuff. So with the Bluetooth FCU, you should be able to solder this to the FCU itself instead of having to modify your wiring harness, which is good news, because then it protects your warranty, because as of right now it is not Wolverine or Polar Star approved. So doing this modification will most likely result in the warranty on your electronics of the engine being voided. I can't stress that enough. I don't want people, oh, I did this and then, you know, now my warranty's void. It will most likely. I haven't talked to them directly about it. I did make a comment to Rich. I'm going to be sending him a unit for him to test and hopefully get approved to where it doesn't void the warranty, but at this time it will. Sorry. Again, this is just the universal kit. It will work with basically any hop-up that you can modify to take this this micro switch and has enough room. I have them in KWA SR12. I've modified, and that's my AEG prototype right now. I have one in a Pro-In, which I took out to do the video. A modified metal hop-up, a G&G plastic hop-up, a Mad Bull 3-in-1 hop-up. There's a few that I've done. I don't remember them all offhand. Just biggest thing I can stress with this is if you're not familiar with soldering and you're not okay taking a Dremel to a $35 hop-up like I did, then have a professional do it. It's not that hard for me, but for some people they're not as tech savvy, I guess you could call it. If you have any questions, send me a message, comment. On Facebook, I'm going to load this video on YouTube, but I never check my YouTube, so go ahead and comment on my Facebook if you need any instructions or further details. And I hope you like it. We've had it out a few days now. Through a couple different prototypes, and I think we got it down to where it's just a really cool extra to have.